How have you
Hi,
been?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. Um, look, I gotta ask, why'd you leave the cabinet?
Why'd I
I'm not
leave?
gonna. Yeah,
Said as much in the email. I was sick and I
yeah,
wasn't doing my duties.
yeah. Um, was it because of? Look, I'm not gonna take it any kind of way. This is excuse me, sir. Jesus fucking Christ. You know, I
Was it because of what?
um, was it because of the decision of our chief of police? And I ask this because you know, you seem pretty upset over it at the time, and I want to know if I did something wrong, something that upset you.
I don't. I can separate. I told you this when it happened,
Mm.
and I'm telling you this again now that I
Yeah.
can separate my
Hey,
emotions
hey,
via
motherfucker. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
via you know business, and
Yeah.
everything in the office was just business.
Mm. Okay. All right. All
I
right.
never got upset to a point where I was just gonna leave because I was upset.
Mm. All right.
I don't work like that.
Yeah. Well,
I was sick at the time. I didn't get things done, and it wasn't fair to people who were there who could
yeah.
get more things done than me, so I left.
Understandable. I want to get that out of the way before we, got into the more, I guess, particulars of what I wanted to chat with you about. Uh, More likely than not, you're going to be running the north. I'm going to be running the south. And quite frankly, I don't think there was a lot of cohesion the last 3 months. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
that,
agree.
there's reasons that you believe that it happened. I've got my reasons. But I genuinely do want to see both counties work together.
I do too. I would love to work with whoever is gonna be responsible for the next three
Yeah.
months down south. I would love for legislations to be passed in unison for the better of not just the counties,
Mm.
but the state.
My immediate concern comes into play here is having been a part of Andy's cabinet. Um, the question that immediately draws in my mind is, are you going to be running things differently, or is it going to be more of the same?
If things need to change, they will change. My main reason for running is to not have somebody come in and undo 3 months of hard work. Like, how would you feel if the next mayor did come in and undid all of your legislation?
Um, Genuinely, I probably wouldn't give a fuck. Um,
I feel like you would because you actually do cat.
yeah, I think I would if I didn't have so much else on my plate. But I understand what you're saying. Uh, Here's and look, I'm the reason I ask this, right, is at some point I got to make a decision between backing you and backing Pred. It's a reality, right? And that backing needs to be squarely based on the betterment of Los Santos County and San Andreas. Now, I don't particularly think that we work poorly together outside of, let's just say, that whole chief of police thing, right? But at the end of the day, it's like one incident.
Yeah.
But I want to give you my viewpoint, all right? Whether you believe me or not, and I want to understand your perspective and how you would have handled it. I have made several phone calls to Andy. I've sent the text messages. I went to the extent of giving Bjorn a letter with my name signed at the bottom for him to hand deliver it to her. No response. Pertaining to legislation that affects civilians. So
I don't think he ever delivered the letter. I knew
he
about the letter.
he told me a week ago he delivered it 2 weeks ago.
But at that point, she was already checked out. But he
Yeah,
got
but
it like
that's
more than a month ago, no?
he probably got it about 30 days back. No. When did I give it to him? He delivered it 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think I wrote it not even last month, but the month before that.
I remember I was told about it, but Andy receiving it that late, yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember
Yeah.
what the letter was about.
It was pertaining to J6 and
Oh
having
yeah.
Blaine
Oh yeah.
County. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that they adopt the legislation, so they can also carry, um, open carry in
Yeah.
the north, right?
Yeah. And prevent themselves from, because, these J6 guys, they get actively robbed and whatnot. Now, if I'm going to be genuinely honest, look, I think a lot of the turmoil that happened between both offices is due to third-party actors, quite frankly.
Isn't that always the case? It's always people who play telephone and the wrong message getting delivered.
Well, that and I think the DOJ, I think, got a little too big for their britches. And you'll have a better idea as to what I mean by that in the next couple days when the impeachment information gets posted. But I guess my question to you is, if we do come to a disagreement, will the communication lines stay open?
Yes, I don't believe in one disagreement just shutting everything down, especially when it comes to something as important as the counties coming together.
Okay.
And you ask me if I'm going to do the same things Andy did. Like, I'm not going to stand here and promise casinos and making my own DOJ and offering free business licenses when all of that is unconstitutional, minus the casino. Like, I'm not here to make false promises to people when I know exactly how the tune goes.
That's not. I'll tell you what I want. I want a border. Same thing I wanted last term.
Last time?
Yeah. But do you know what that border is intended for? Like, what is your impression of it? Let me start there, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I want it for.
How I would interpret it is just a separation between the counties.
I would want Blaine County legalizing the manufacturing of moonshine and the subsidized production of vegetables. It would cross that border with a license and then get legally sold here in Los Santos County. That would make the residents of Blaine County make a shitload of money off fruits and the manufacturing of moonshine. Places down here like the Liquid Library with a license would be able to legally sell it. The food stalls down here would be able to get plenty of vegetables, which they currently cannot get, which is one of the big reasons why these stalls aren't open. As a side effect, you now have two counties working on two different ends of the logistical spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would allow for, through this border, for those passes to be for the checks to take place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this trucking business registered to move this moonshine? Now, obviously, there might be nefarious entities that might move some other things, but, that's what makes the things interesting, right?
Yeah, people without the license would then, not be allowed, they would face criminal charges, right?
Exactly. Now, it that was my vision from the very beginning. Now, obviously, there's been rumors about $5,000, fines of Blaine County and this and that. I don't know where that stemmed from, quite frankly, but we're beyond that at this point. I think there's a lot. Here's the reality, right? I think there's been a lot of investments in what I call Project 2030. And the reality is that we're not going to be able to get some of the things that I think we wanted. You heard about like tier 2 business licenses, stoves.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot that can be done if there's enough creativity and joint cooperation. And that's the sort of thing that I want to see if you'd be willing to buy into.
I like the idea. I really do. I actually really like the idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always for a majority of what you want to do because it creates interesting opportunities for people that isn't just the same, let's open a generic business that, people are going to get bored of in a week's time.
Yeah. And that's the problem with the stalls right now. People are bored. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for, 4 or 5 months. However, there's a lot of things like grime that can be repurposed with very little effort and, registered trucking businesses, et cetera, right? Now, who's to say that those vegetables that get purchased over, licensed in, and, get delivered into, I don't know, the back of senior buns and people can purchase directly from it, or vending machines. There's a lot of things we put up on our website that we want to do, but it's going to require both counties to actually work together. It's not. Obviously, we would not agree with everything, right? But that's part of the game.
Yeah, I know. It's I mean, I think the most disconnected thing right now is the BCSO versus the LSPD. I think that's a very big disconnect. That's getting everybody into a certain mindset that isn't a good one. But the other stuff for civilians, I'm always down to work on something that actually helps people.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Good.
I know myself that Pred is a very chaotic person to put up. However, he'd be somebody you put up when there's already a structure. There's nothing up north. There's really nothing up north except the BCSO and 3 groups of people who live there.
The thing with Pred's ideas, they're very good. He just does not understand what the limitations are that a mayor has. We
Yeah.
do not have the latitude that Max had. And quite frankly, the last 3 months mostly consisted of having to write a bunch of bullshit just to do basic things. Like, even genuinely right now, I have to make sure that I can even buy the EMS a helicopter, which is $5 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could I do
is
it? Yes.
Something that they need, but you still have to
Precisely.
ask.
Well, that's exactly it. If I could just do it, but all it takes is one
would be done.
marshal that
Yeah.
is like fucking bored, and then they come up with some bullshit reason to impeach me. So, it's fucking annoying, quite frankly. But, okay.
Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
understand why people run to the marshals as much as they do when the marshals do not equate the DOJ in a lot of legal matters.
I mean, you say that, but, think about it. You got
But
Angel.
they shouldn't be acting like that.
The marshals have been flying drones over gang territory, right?
No.
They got an entire fucking list of all those little gang garages.
The white boxes?
Yeah. There's a lot of nasty stuff they're doing. So, they're not what was originally sold to us way back when. The problem is they themselves are playing politics.
And again, there's nobody who oversees them, right?
Well, kind of. At least not yet. But nothing stops two mayors from changing that. And would that be something you'd be interested in?
But how would we be able to do that when everything gets pushed through somebody like Angel?
There's a lot of stuff that was done with that legislative process that was not constitutionally how it was supposed to go. And I will tell you that with confidence. In other words, you contest the martial legislation, you replace it with something else. If both of us sign it, it goes into state law, as long as it fits the Constitution, which, quite frankly, is, doesn't prevent us from creating new entities.
Very true.
But like I said, that kind of requires two mayors from actually working with each other.
To actually work together, yeah.
I don't, quite transparently, I'm going to be, look, I don't have any problems with Andy. I know that I've been approached in ways that make it maybe seem that way. My problem has squarely been with BCSO. But then again, you've probably seen them from a different light than I have.
Yeah, I have. Seeing the inner workings of it, it is a different opinion, which I'm still, I'm here to discuss it in any way. Like, if you want to talk about it, I'm down to listen, and you can hear what I want to say. I'm always just open to a discussion about what you think isn't working and then what I think is working, right?
Yeah. My expectations when it kind of comes to communication is you can put your foot down, right? But that conversation needs to continue, right? Otherwise, things kind of end abruptly. And, I mean, look, I don't want to go too deep into the BCSO thing. I think most of the problems I've had have been long resolved. But,
Because if I can ask this, like, you say your problem wasn't with Andy because she should be your only form of communication. Then the BCSO shouldn't affect what you're doing in the city in some way, unless it is down to the bare bones of, the LSPD structure.
I can tell you right now. I'll give you a precise example. There's a sheriff that goes. Well, I'll give you there's a couple, but I'm gonna give you like one example. Ventura went out of his way to not only give me a traffic citation after I chewed him out over his arrest over Marlo Stanfield, as I was his lawyer, and told him that the arrest was absolutely unlawful. After he very cheekily told me, "Oh, too bad there's no judges around. We're going to have to send him up." He did so with very little, like he was not able to articulate his reason for Marlo's arrest. He was so upset with such thing. He went out of his way to try to pull me over some bullshit traffic citation, whatever. After a result of this, he then, I don't know, something twisted in his head to the extent that he very poignantly wanted to prevent the LSPD from garnering access to interceptors. Now, while he cannot do that directly, he can do that in practice. Now, Um, from my position at that point, when I brought this problem up to Cassidy, he did not want to hear a single word. That man is such a emotional ball of idiocity that I don't think a conversation could have been had. Consider if LSPD officers started coming up north and use their CERT lead presence to start to manipulate things that happened up north. And the high command refused to acknowledge your existence or have a adult conversation with you.
I think in this case, for example, I don't know what Ventura's been doing or how he probably would, escalate something like that.
Mm.
Every department is going to obviously see what is the best course of action for that and probably protect what they can, right? And if it, I mean,
Anthony, think of the
shouldn't
5
High
months.
Command have worked together if it was an issue like that, especially with, like, let's say punishing Ventura, for example.
Well, they started to. In fact, between Ventura's relationship with the Saints and some of the illicitness that has been transpiring between the two, and I'm very well aware of it. I don't think the PD is yet. Peter started to write a report. The man was cooked. I happened to be in the vehicle with him, writing legislation as he was writing this up because he was given the instruction by Moss, you got to do this the right way. In the midst of writing up this report, because of him being cooked, he decides that he's going to, I told him, like, yo, fucking chill out. Your brain's not there. He had written 3 sentences, and apparently, like, I don't know how this MDT shit works, but apparently you can see who's, like, reading it. Cassidy is immediately already reading this report. He then calls up Peters and said that he was subhuman. Peters is absolutely pissed. He's like, what the fuck is going on? I haven't even written this thing. And this guy's saying, oh my God, you're targeting Blaine County sheriffs. We go up north, and Cassidy has the most epic crash out I've ever seen in my fucking life. I stood there as a neutral party trying to get these 2 adults to speak with each other. And even in the midst of this, when bringing up some of the concerns, there was no reasoning. There was no listening. There was no parlay. So
I was present in a meeting where High Command came together and Moss was asked why she put in the SOPs that she put in, and she said that she didn't need to clarify herself, which I think is fair because she just wrote what was already in the legislation.
Mm.
And then she dropped a file line and she said, "You called Peter subhuman, now you're a sub authority." And then she walked off very cool.
yeah, Moss has kind of turned to a boss lately, hasn't she? I'm thinking
No, I mean,
about proposing
you
to
have
her.
to be. Gonna marry her?
I mean, it's like the in thing, you know?
Oh, just like marrying powerful woman?
No, just, you know, because she's a chief, I'm the mayor, you know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
No, but then she'd have to be chief of staff.
Why not both?
What if you marry Tilly and Moss at the same time?
That's after my polygamy legislation goes through.
But I don't even think the regular, like, marriage legislation is still in.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do it all at once.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Yeah. Well, I haven't decided yet. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like a Targaryen.
You gonna dye your hair? Or you gonna be like Jon Snow?
Exactly. The amount of
Wait, are
times
you
I've died
related
in
to one of them?
what, the Targaryens?
No, you're related to Moss Tilly?
Do you know how deep my ties go in the city?
Yes.
I mean, do you know that my daughter runs a MC at Chumash?
Who's your daughter?
What the fuck's her name? Darcy? Darcy Lane, I think?
Oh, Lainey?
Yeah. I just found that out recently.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like a surprise child?
No, it's via Speedy.
Yes. Yes. You and Speedy had her?
No, Speedy's my kid.
Oh, Speedy married her?
No, Speedy's got Michael.
So confused. Can you like draw like a little like
Yeah.
family tree?
I adopted Speedy 15 years ago,
Yeah, I know that.
and he adopted Michael Small,
I know
and
that.
Darcy Lane is his mom.
So that's your great grandkid.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me not even get started with the with AJ Coleone. Jesus fucking Christ. Pretty sure that kid's like slept with half the fucking population.
He's a Zoomer.
Exactly. They don't believe in contraception anymore. Anyways.
Hey, Eve.
Hi, Marty.
I'm heading back up to Polito.
All right, I'll see you.
Yeah, let me know if you head up that way.
Okay, bye.
Later.
Look, whatever's going on between LSPD and BCSO, I think most of that shit is pretty sorted. I think new blood coming into LSPD, I think, was destined to shake up some things, right? Status quo gets moved around. But
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was always going to happen.
yeah.
And I think it's a good thing that you know, they don't get used to the same old thing.
Okay. What do you think I could have done better during my 3 months?
Mm,
I mean, you've
I don't
seen
know. It's
some
hard.
of it on both sides.
It's hard. It's hard to say because there's a lot of things that I know you wanted to do, but you're only limited by so much. So I can't really comment on things like that, right?
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think your opinion still matters, though. What did your office think about my office? What was your perception? And I'm not going to hold you to it, right? Because we had our own perception, too. Both positive and negative. That's just part of life.
They don't really talk about. We didn't, you know, talk about anything that your office did and such. It was just always a like a PD issue the majority of the time. But that was like the most thing that got put on the table.
I would agree with that. Like 80% of my fucking time was dealing with fucking babysitting.
PD's high school drama. Yeah.
All right.
It's like every day. I mean, I woke up today and then I heard that, you know, Den with all his, you know, he can do this. He followed the SOPs to a T and he kicked playing County off of a scene and he can do that. It's just more drama adding to the situation that really isn't needed. But he was trying to like make an ultimatum, right? Like, we're gonna kick you off of all our scenes unless you come back to the city. Which is a power play. I appreciate that.
You're talking about what happened today?
Yeah, just before Storm.
A lot of, I think, that tension came from... That actually reminds me where, you know, a lot of that tension stemmed from the week in which, and I don't know if you were aware of this, for about a week, if any officer was in any county, that county budget would get charged for their, would pay out to the officer.
Wasn't that until the technicians fixed the paychecks?
Correct. I talked to Soze, and he talked to the government for me. Next day, resolved. But in addition to that came the police budgets. Unfortunately, one thing that I don't think was thought of, and I've petitioned the state for this, is as a consequence of both departments getting their own bank accounts and taking the whole 25% and the county's getting nothing, fundamentally, functionally, the county doesn't actually benefit from the police department.
Make a lot of money from the PD. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm aware of that.
And so now all of a sudden, we were running into situations where suspects were getting arrested down here and brought up north. Now, for the police departments, that was great. And pay for the interceptors, da-da-da-da-da. But for the everyday citizen, I started getting blasted with phone calls because now people are dealing with, like, two of the gang members are down here, the other up north. Their lawyers can't talk to each other. There's phone calls. A bunch of bullshit started coming out of it. That included complaints of, like, to their faces, they're being told, oh, you're worth this amount of money. Oh, my God, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's going to make people feel a certain way. And I think that whole conversation, that whole, like, problem is kind of how we ended up where we are today. It's one of those.
I think that definitely did cause a lot of the issues is the 95s, right?
Yeah. So
I think that started the whole divide between the BCSO and the LSPD.
all came down to money.
Yeah, especially when, like, I still believe there's not enough infrastructure for the North to even make money without the PD.
Well, that's why I want this border. I want Los Santos County, who's currently sitting on $150 million, mind you. And I cut a lot of checks. To be funding Blaine to do some of these things. Because if we fund Blaine, I mean, it's how it works in, like, other countries, right? Like, if we paid you money to set up a whole farming industry.
It's like importing goods.
Exactly. So, I don't mind spending money as long as it benefits people, you know? So, but anyways. You have no idea what my vision is, and, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens over the next 3 months. It's going to be a tough battle going Pred. People fucking love chaos.
I know they do. But people love it, but there's people who are very, very tired of it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like two opposite magnets trying to fight for the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Okay. All right. You have anything else for me? I gotta make my rounds.
No, you're good, Nino.
All right, it was good to see you. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm doing a family photo in the next week or so. You should come.
Yeah, just tell me when.
Yep. Gonna be a lot of people there. It's gonna be Chumash Pier.
You're not gonna mad at me, right?
No, it's Family Pier. I think Denzel's coming around for it too.
Okay.
Yep.